From his massive social media cult-like following to his unique fighting style from his background in MMA, here's why boxers are really scared of Jake Paul. Number one on that list is simply that Jake Paul is way too popular on social media, and it really intimidates the lesser-known boxers. Jake Paul was actually a massive social media influencer before he broke onto the boxing scene. He'd started on Vine back in 2013, where he'd amassed nearly 5.3 million followers before the platform disbanded. Paul then started a YouTube account shortly after. That YouTube account currently has 20 million followers from around the globe, and Jake Paul's reach is huge. With nearly 23 million people on his Instagram too, you can be sure that every single update on his life is going out to these people. So it just follows that boxers would be scared to take Paul on, because if they lose, it's not just Jake Paul's trash talk they're going to have to face, but they're going to have to see their defeat plastered all over social media from wall to wall, with more than 20 million people laughing at them. As if Jake's fan following wasn't enough, Logan's fans are going to have a bone to pick if you cross Jake in the boxing ring. It'd be enough to terrify even the toughest fighters in the ring. It's just as bad if they beat Jake, the problem child Paul though, because then you'd have a legion of fans bad-mouthing you on every social media platform Jake is active on. His latest video of him losing to a boxer actually has 1.1 million views and thousands of trash-talking comments. Another thing that hordes of fans have done is make every Jake Paul match 100 times more popular. The increase in popularity means that there are way more people watching than would normally tune into a boxing match. Obviously, the spike in views and ratings means a massive payday for each opponent in that match. Sponsors have caught on to the pattern and offered the best deals from the biggest brands to Jake and his opponent. This means that every single no-name boxer wants a chance at a Jake Paul match, and when he inevitably defeats them, the rest decide to go running, scared of the problem child. This happened when Jake Paul debuted in professional boxing in 2020. He went up against fellow YouTuber Gib, who was standing just at 2 million followers, leagues behind Jake. And yep, you guessed it, Paul beat him hard with a TKO 2 minutes into the first round. Other boxers have been cowering in fear ever since. One thing that Jake Paul's legions of followers can't really get is his unique fighting style. Some of his amateur fights and wrestling days have really equipped him with a different fighting style, something professional boxers don't really know how to prepare for. Although his stance has officially been labeled as orthodox, he does put his own spin on it. A professional analysis of his fight against Tyron Woodley revealed that Jake has a real ability to bait his opponent. He can fool them into a false sense of security before he takes them down with a really versatile and aggressive set of jabs. He uses his jab for a lot of different tasks, like blinding and feinting, and he maneuvers it any way that suits him, which is a feat not many boxers have accomplished as of yet. This was evident when Paul absolutely smashed Tyron Woodley by split decision and left the rest of the boxing world shaking. There's a reason Jake Paul stands nearly undefeated in the boxing world, and it's because of his street brawl-inspired fighting style that keeps his opponents guessing. Never let them know your next move. The evidence of Paul's slightly unorthodox techniques working is right there in the numbers. Up until his rescheduled fight with Tommy Fury in January of 2023, Paul was going undefeated. He hadn't really taken on any big names in the professional boxing world, but had fought UFC bigwig Anderson Silva, pummeling him to the ground in a unanimous decision victory. A side-by-side analysis of both Tommy and Jake revealed the two boxers' strengths and weaknesses, and Jake Paul's definitely seems to be strength, while Fury's lies in his speed. Sure, Paul talked big before his fight with a real pro boxer and ended up paying out his nose when he lost to a split decision, but Fury's fans agree that it wasn't a pushover win on their hero's part and that Tommy really had to work at it. It isn't often that a pro boxer goes against an amateur and has to put his best foot forward in all 8 rounds. Paul actually had a winning chance when he knocked Fury down in the 8th round. So if Tommy Fury, who's been winning 9 for 9 in his career, had a hard time beating Jake Paul, the amateur boxers are right to be quaking in their boots. Jake Paul's fighting technique has the added advantage of being built like a tank. Standing at just over 6 feet tall, Jake Paul weighs around 100 186 pounds. Now that's massive. He was towering over the 5 feet 7 inch Tyron Woodley during their match back in 2021. You could tell Tyron was up there sweating bullets, feeling intimidated by Paul's height advantage over him. Forget height and weight, let's factor in the age bit. Jake Paul is relatively fresh on the boxing scene. He started off early as he's just 26. Tyron, on the other hand, was pushing 40 at the time of their fight. So Paul really played his advantage of being younger and faster to the fullest. If you add Paul's young age of 26 and his intense training regimen on top of this, you've got yourself a killing machine on your hands. According to his brother, Logan Paul, the boxer trains for more than 4 hours every day, putting his body through the ringer. He avoids all the activities that might boost his inner oxytocin levels so he can stay in the grind mindset. All this, plus a strict monitoring of his diet for months on end before a fight, has the problem child becoming more akin to the perfect angel. It's Paul's opponents who suffer for his healthy regimen and end up losing to him. The boxer hasn't left any stone unturned and is paying for the top trainers in the world to whip him into shape. His main coach is former professional boxer BJ Flores. Social media and the training routine aside, I think it all boils down to the major reason why boxers are too scared to fight Jake Paul. They really don't want to lose to a YouTuber. And that too, a YouTuber like Jake who's found himself in the middle of controversy again and again, from sparking petty YouTube drama to legal charges with his house getting raided by the FBI. Jake Paul hasn't really had the best track record. He dropped a lame diss track back in 2017 that flopped so hard and made him a laughingstock all over YouTube. He followed it up by throwing a huge party at his mansion at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, and as far as legal challenges go, Jake Paul was possibly involved in the looting going on in the Arizona Mall during the Black Lives Matter movement, although he later denied this. More recently, the FBI was seen at his house. Although the details are a bit murky, the SWAT team had to be called in and was seen taking multiple firearms from the household. No wonder the boxer's been nicknamed the problem child. No boxer wants to be involved with an opponent whose track record is this messy. It would also be a major blow to their reputation if they lost to a guy who released a diss track back in the day. No boxer would ever be able to live it down if he lost out to someone who was on a Disney Channel kids show called Bizaardvark. Yeesh, talk about embarrassing. From the fear and humiliation of losing to a delinquent YouTuber to Paul's uniquely unorthodox fighting style and training regimen, these were all the reasons why boxers are really scared of Jake Paul.